March 18th, Mike Tyson raised the Ruddock dies. If he doesn't die, it doesn't count. If he's not dead, it doesn't count.
Okay, so I'm at the final press conference for what is a ridiculously good card, to be fair. Let's just get that out of the way first and foremost.
It's ridiculous.
How good is that? How good is this card?
You know what? We've had a lot of bad luck over the last 6 months. I just expected 2 or 3 to fall off this card.
Yeah.
So I thought I'd do this mental card, hoping that a couple would fall off, and none have. So you're lumbered with 9 fights and 7 championship fights, and just an unbelievable card from 5 o'clock for 7 hours.
Yeah. In terms of, let's look at the fight separately. Mitchell and Lara seems to be one that's getting all the heat on Twitter and Instagram and all over the place. It's not going 12 rounds. I feel this one.
I agree with you. I think you've got 2 technically gifted fighters. I was watching the Murray-Mitchell fight last night. Mitchell's like 10 times the fighter he was in that fight. Linares is brilliant. Freeweight world champion, punches hard, quick, can be stopped.
Yes.
I say that softly because he's 2 yards away from you.
There he is.
So, but Mitchell's been stopped too. So I see a vicious exchange, and I see someone going to sleep, to be honest with you. And I hope it's all go Linares, because if Kevin Mitchell can win that world title in front of 18,000 at the O2, mate, what a moment in his life.
I hate saying final chances because it's not nice to ever put that on someone, but he's had these 2 world title fights before Kevin Mitchell. You've got him to this stage again, you've built him back up. Is it the kind of final chance for him, would you say?
It is, but like, I was thinking about that same question the other day, and it's like he's that good, and he's in that good a place that losing to Jorge Linares isn't really the most disgraceful thing in the world. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, say you had a great fight with Jorge Linares, and everyone went, well, Kev, you failed there, it's your time to hang up the gloves. And so, I've nearly just beat a great fighter. I feel great. I feel like I can beat anyone in Britain. And you know what? You look at the other champions in the division, Darlis Perez,
Mickey Bay, I think.
Mickey Bay, and the WBO's vacant. So this is the toughest option for Kevin Mitchell. But when an opportunity presents itself, you have to grab it. A bit like Crawler against Perez, you know? So I think that it's his time to take it, and it's going to be a
don't blink fight.
But also a little bit cautious and nervy there, because I think they both respect each other's power and ability. I don't think it's just going to be come out and start try. I think it's going to be battle the jabs, and it's going to be some
you've been doing a bit of sparring, haven't you?
No. So I'm just pumped for the show. But I think it's such a fascinating fight.
Selby's the one that everyone accuses of. We've not seen the best of him yet. He's not showing us what he can do. He's still in 3rd gear. He's cruising. He's relaxing. Is Gradovich the man to show us how good Selby is?
I think so, because I think in terms of the style, you've got a situation and a pressure fighter in Gradovich that's just relentless, will just come forward for 12 rounds. Gradovich can't box Lee Selby. Lee Selby's too good. The way to beat Lee Selby is to be relentless, to walk him down and to try and hurt him. Can Gradovich hurt Selby? I don't know. Gradovich, this is his 5th defence of his IBF title, just won IBF Fighter of the Year. He's not exactly a mug, so he's got it all to do. I do see Selby as a slight favourite in that fight, but also see quite a nervous Lee Selby. He didn't sort of say, I'm going to do this, and on Saturday night I'll guarantee, he said, hopefully it'll all work out, and blah 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 blah.
As a promoter, is that good for you? Is that bad for you? Do you want him to say a bit stronger words?
Say what's on his mind. There's no point. There's nothing worse than lying to yourself and saying, I'm going to do. If that's not how you feel, there's no point just saying it. You have to believe in what you're saying. I'm sure he believes he's going to win the fight, but he also knows how good Gradovich is. And Gradovich is one of those fighters that when you watch him, you think, he don't look that good. And then you look at the fighters he's beat, and you know he must be.
Top in the bill, Brook, Gavin. Are people still overlooking Gavin, or is it because Brook's that good?
I think a bit of both. I think that Kell Brook is, and whether people like to accept it or not, and mainly Amir fans, etc. Kell Brook is arguably, certainly if you want to take Mayweather out of the equation, the #1 welterweight in the world right now. I actually think he gives Mayweather a great fight.
Give him problems,
but Mayweather is for sure just unique. Frankie, Gavin, I think when you talk to people in boxing, last week I was talking to DeGale and Jim McDonnell and even Tony Bellew, they rate Frankie Gavin as like one of the best talents they've ever seen. And when he turned pro, everyone said he was going to go and win a world title.
Next Ricky Hatton.
It hasn't really worked out for him, but he's confident, he's still got that ability, and this is his chance. So he speaks very well, looks very confident, looks in great shape, looks in better shape than I've ever seen him before.
Doesn't look drained, does he? He normally looks drained at the weight. Yeah,
but he's done. You know why? Because he had that fight in Sheffield, which was at like 10-10.
Yeah.
And then straight from there, literally a week later, he got the fight.
Yeah.
So he hasn't had a chance to balloon in between fights, and that preparation that he had for that fight was ideal for him, really. So you've got to think Brook's a favourite in the fight for sure, but I think Frankie's going to cause him some problems. I really do. And he's got massive support coming down from Birmingham. Massive support.
I've never ever seen anyone get under Anthony Joshua's skin. He just seems like the coolest man in the world. Is Kevin Johnson maybe slowly creeping under it a little bit?
I think so. I mean, you get to a situation where they can't be bothered to be around that person. We saw it with Kell Brook and George Groves. It wasn't like, this guy's getting under my skin. It was like, I don't want to be, I can't be bothered with him. And I think Anthony's at that point now. Yeah. So, you know, it's a good test for him. It's an intriguing test. I don't think he loses the fight, in my opinion. But it's heavyweight boxing. But it's how he deals with him. I was arguing with Paulie Malignaggi. He says no way does Anthony Joshua stop.
Really?
Yeah, and I said, well, I disagree. But then again, you look at who he's gone the distance with. You know, he's been hit hard by Klitschko and went the distance with him. And maybe he's just one of those guys that just has a granite chin and you just can't stop.
I guess that makes it even special if Anthony Joshua stops him.
Exactly.
Then,
yeah, it'll be a great atmosphere.
I've seen an interview with you. I've seen so many interviews with you where you said you don't want Kell Brook to come back because nothing's quite yet wet the appetite, nothing's got the juices flowing. And then you mentioned a guy called Golovkin.
Well, I said, actually, in my interviews, I said, I don't want Kell Brook to come back unless he's motivated.
Okay,
So, because he's the type of fighter that relies on desire and will to win. And if he hasn't got that, he's not the same fighter. You can't go into a fight with Golovkin if you're not really asked about it, or you just think, like... So, he's got to flick his switch, but...
Has it?
I think it has. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I think if he fights again, I think Golovkin's the favourite that he'll fight. So it's a great fight. I love the fight. I mean,
I've seen Kell Brook's interviews, and he's been saying stuff like that little middleweight is going to come up to my super middleweight, and he seems to be getting angry, annoyed at it.
He's got a point. I mean, Rob McCracken, who is one of the best analysts and experts in boxing and coaches, obviously, thinks that Kell stops Golovkin in mid rounds. He's normally he's not quirky or anything. He's not like crazy. So, but we don't know whether Golovkin, who is a small middleweight, can move up to 168 and fight a guy with a granite chin who can punch himself.
Yeah. You said rumours the girl will be back out in the autumn, September, October, possibly. Any names floating about at the moment?
No, I mean, actually. Golden Boy was just saying there about Bernard Hopkins, you know, all those guys like Hopkins, Kessler, Butte, you know, there's some great fights out there for him, 168, and I think October will be the return. Final
question, and thanks Eddie Hearn. Will Britain have three world champions? Come the end of the night?
Could have 3 new ones. You know, I think. It would be, you know, if Selby and Mitchell can get the win, it would be very special. And you know, when you've got 2 fighters like I have in a world title fight, like Brook and Gavin, you give them the opportunities, and it's made the best man win.
Oh, I did say final question. That's a lie. This was the final question. Matchroom renewed the contract with Sky. How good is news that for British boxing as well?
It's great news for British boxing and Sky, because the size that they are always get a lot of stick. But let's be honest, they're the only ones that have consistently backed boxing over the years. The only broadcasters that have consistently backed boxing. And now they've done it for another 6 years. Very unusual to have a boxing deal beyond 2 or 3 years. And that shows you their plans for the future. That shows you the belief in the sport, where it's at. 3 years ago, boxing was pony in Britain. Look at this on Saturday night. You know, we've got fighters travelling over the world, defending world champion titles, winning world titles. Got Kell Brook, could be #1 welterweight in the world. You know, it's a massive time for British boxing right now. And 6 years give us the solidarity to grow our team, bring on new talent.
I guess look at tonight at Bethnal Green. The likes of Lara Davis, Isaac Chamberlain. There's like another breed of fighters coming up from there.
But we've got too many fighters, so that's why tonight we'll do a show at Your Call. And that'll be part of the development of those fighters. They can't always fight, you know. And the one thing we get a little bit of criticism is about fights that aren't meaningful. Like learning fights. But you can't just keep your young talent off TV in those learning fights, because how do you raise a profile? But every now and again, like tonight, we have to give them the fights on there. And they'll say, oh, can't I box at the O2 on Saturday night? You know, like Charlie Edwards. And the answer is, you've boxed at O2, you've boxed at Sheffield Arena, see you down Your Call tonight, mate. And then we'll crack on and we'll fight on a big show.